welcome to the 2500 Subspecial, Sonic Rare Zero Gravity, all extreme ranks for mission mode. There are 7 missions per stage, 14 stages total, if I'm not mistaken. So that was like 98 missions or something like that, if I remember right. Or something like that. I don't remember. I kind of forgot already how many there were. But yeah.
Ready? Go!
Yeah, it sounds like 98 to me.
Ready?
So yeah. The mission setups are usually, mission 1s are usually simple laps around the course in the fastest time possible. Mission 2s are usually ring missions, mission 3s are usually trick missions, and missions 4 to 7 tend to vary, depending on the stage. But the first 3 usually tend to be the same. They are the same all the time. But yeah, the extreme rank usually isn't that difficult. It's really quite easy. I kind of missed the trick rank, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure I have it, yeah. My best is 4636 for this particular mission. Some of these missions really get blown out way past the extreme rank, especially ring missions. I guess that's what happens when you get really good at the game. When you get really good at the game, you'll begin to understand quite a few things, and you'll be able to do even way better than the extreme rank. Ring missions, well, check the gauge on the left to see how many rings you need to collect for each rank. It'll tell you, in this case for the normal rank, you need 100 rings. For the super rank, it'll tell you once you get the normal, and for the extreme, it'll tell you once you get the super. Now, for these missions, I recommend taking it slow, but also watching the clock. The clock is very important here. It's okay to slow down, because you usually have more time than it takes for you to complete a lap anyway. So usually significantly more time than you would have for completing a lap anyway. So yeah, nice and simple, extreme rank. Yes, my ring record is about 100 more. I will not tell you the secret to that. You're gonna have to figure that one out for yourself. But I will give you a hint. It has something to do with the beginning. I'll give you a hint there. That's the only hint I'm gonna give you. But if you can figure it out, then well, it's just a matter of collecting how many rings humanly possible. Right. These trick ones. There's one little tip you want to do with these trick missions. Holding a direction and then pressing the X button. That was terrible. Holding a direction and then pressing the X button right before the trick ramp ends usually gives you an X rank. If it doesn't, it gives you a double S, guaranteed. If you get basically a flash of void, that means you get an X rank. But if you don't, you usually get a double S. Usually that is the guarantee. X ranks usually tend to go in a simple pattern. You're going to have to figure that one out. Also, with these half pipes, you can also turn yourself back around and do it again. Because you usually have a little time to get a few more points. You usually have a little more time to get a few more points than usual. So holding a directional pad works the same way with those half pipes. It's just a little bit more tricky. Although I might be out of time. 1, Oh boy, cutting it close there. Cutting it close. 52, best is 64. X ranks give you 10, double S is 8, S is 6, double A is 4, A is 2, and B is 1. C gets you nothing. So it's very important that if you usually can't make a trick well, just don't get a C. That's all you need to try to avoid. Just don't get a C. Doesn't matter what you do, just don't get a C. Right, we're going to try to do 1 or 2 stages per video. Probably 2. I think these go by quickly, so yeah. These missions where you either have to grind or air ride, usually all it will take is you getting every single grind. It doesn't really matter about tricks and anything. It doesn't really matter much. Just getting all the possible grinds in the stage or all the air rides in the stage will guarantee the extreme rank for you. But you can't miss one. If you miss one, you get a super. It's very important that you don't miss it. And you react quickly because every time you go on a grind, and I just fucked it up. Unbelievable. Right, go back around and do it again. There you go. If you missed it, you can sometimes go back around and do it again, but sometimes you can't, so. Yeah, 9 of 9. Every time you hook on to another grinding thing, whatever. Every time you hook onto another one, oh crap, you gain a little bit more speed, usually about 10 on the speed. Whatever that's called. Okay, yeah, you usually get 10 speed. So, but you do feel it going faster. You really do feel it going faster, especially after a while. So, each time you want to try to hook onto the next one, it's a little bit harder. And in some cases, they really do test you with that. Oh, we gotta do gravity dives, yes. Gravity dives are those things they also call, I believe they're also called meteor bursts, but I think that's when you latch onto something. But yeah, when it comes to these missions, rule number 1 is latch onto something whenever you can. Because you get bonus when it comes to gravity dives. You get a bonus. I think it's usually about 100 when you latch onto one of these things. Yeah, that's all it really takes. Fill the gauge to get the extreme rank. The lines, the first line is normal, the second line is super. Filling the gauge gets you automatic extreme. Best is 1373 because it was definitely well done. If you take the time to think about it when it comes to those missions, you can meteor burst almost anywhere, because there are usually a lot of straight areas. It varies on the stage, but usually there are plenty of straight areas. So those are the places you want to meteor burst in, or gravity dive, whatever. And holding it as long as possible also gets you a little bit more when it comes to gravity dives. It gets you a bit more credit than just briefly doing it. That's for sure. Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to these missions with the robots, you just gotta do it first for the extreme rank. Second gets you super, third gets you normal. And of course, fourth means you fail. I think you don't finish fourth. I think you just have to start the mission over. Alright, let's go back. You gotta go a different way now. Crap. Oh no, it's IR second. I super. Damn it. Alright, we'll go again. I really effed that up. Oh, every time you want to get a 100 GP start, you gotta start after the clock ticks 2. Go right after the clock ticks 2. When that happens, that's when you want to start moving. And you're pretty much guaranteed a 100 GP start. Occasionally you might get caught with the electricity, but that's usually because you go too early. So, I screwed it up again, didn't I? Kind of. Maybe. Perhaps. Nah. Yeah, there are rings over there. I don't know why there are. But yeah. I guess they forgot to take them out, because usually these types of missions, they don't give you rings. They don't give you rings very often unless it's ring designated. So yeah, that's really nice and simple if you really take the time to think about it. Yeah, best is 47 seconds there. Alright, so we're up to mission 7. Use gravity control to break at least 5 targets. This is the turning ability. You gotta use that to break the targets. You have to use the specific gravity ability. If you use the other gravity ability, it won't count. And you just go right past the glass. You'll understand what I mean in a moment, because like this right here, all you need to do is that. In some other missions you may have to gravity dive instead. But yeah, you tend to go kind of slow because you want to get those, so. Hitting them at any point of using this ability really doesn't matter. It'll break. No big deal there. 5's the normal, 8's the super, all of them is the extreme. Watching the clock is very crucial. You have time, it doesn't mean you have all day. That's the idea behind it. This last one is tricky, very tricky. This last one actually makes the difference. There we go. Okay, you should have enough time though. 11 is extreme, no big deal there. And no, they do not respawn, so... Yeah, you gotta hit them all. Alright, mission 1 of Botanical Kingdom. One minute 21 seconds is the normal rank. Usually they tell you in terms of the normal rank. Just as it's like, oh, at least do this, you know. That was actually pretty bad. I just wasted like 2 seconds there for no reason. But yeah, whatever. I don't know if I have enough GP to make this, but let's try. Oh, I do barely. Barely. Usually I get the 100 GP started, and it usually makes the difference when it comes to that start. Getting 100 GP is usually very important. It also translates into a faster start for you, so it really doesn't. There's really no reason why you shouldn't get a 100 GP start. At least fairly consistently, not very consistently. But yeah, this last section is quite easy. You just need to gravity dive. There's plenty of targets, so usually makes the difference. Extreme, no problem. Best is more or less the very 2 seconds I lost in the beginning, so pretty much. reach the goal with at least 90 rings. That is again normal. Of course, Eggman has its own little bubble with words that usually just want to play with you more than anything else. But yeah, it's very important that you try to get as many rings as possible. That's usually very important. Even if you miss rings, it's okay because there are plenty more available. Unless it's the end, of course, but yeah, try to slow down whenever you can. Just don't do it too often. And always watch how many rings you have and how many rings you need, because that's usually a crucial point. So I have the normal rank. I missed a lot. Oh boy. Super. I got a C, didn't I? I don't know, man. Because I hit the button. I don't know about you. It doesn't take a lot to get the extreme rank, especially towards the beginning stages. It really doesn't take a lot. All you need to do is be a little bit more careful with where you're moving, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, my best is clearly way more than this, so yeah. 182, no big deal. Best is 249. Same premise as the first stage, and it'll be that way for all the stages, to some degree. There's like one stage where the trick I'm gonna keep to myself doesn't actually help. So yeah. Score at least 10 points. For a normal rank, all you need is 1 X rank. That's all you need. Which I think is quite funny. Yeah. All you need is 1 X rank, and all you need to do is go right here. Right X. No big deal. That's all you need to do. You get this as well. If you continue the pattern on the half pipe, the X-ray pattern might be screwed up later, but yeah, you usually are able to get X-rays if you know the pattern. It's usually a simple pattern. I'm trying to remember what it was. It's different in every stage, but if you want to use a different directional pad each time. I think I used down already, so yeah, that's why I didn't get it. I think in this one it's right, down, left, up, and there are different patterns for each stage, pretty much. But it's a combination of all 4. Left should work. Yes, it does. So yeah, that's the extreme rank, no worries there. Nothing to gravity dive with, but that's okay. 38 best 40. If my best is 40, that means I could do better. Yeah, I could probably do better, but that's okay. Okay, so the next one is we keep moving. 9 air rides. Okay, so this one is all about the air riding, and this is actually a lot easier to control than riders, in my opinion. Riders is very tricky to control air rides, but this one flows a lot better. They really fixed this quite a bit. It flows a lot better in this game, and the movements are less forced and more a bit smoother. But yeah, when it comes to air riding, make sure you know your cue, and make sure you know where they are and so forth. Because you miss something, you're not going to get an extreme rank. It's very important that you don't. Okay. And don't worry if it breaks in a part of the stage, because that means there's more coming later on. Don't worry about the break, because that means It usually means some parts of the stage usually don't comply with air riding. But again, you gotta make sure you know your cue. The only thing I really will say about this sort of thing is, oh yeah, 2020. The only thing I will say about this is, I forgot. Forgot what I was gonna say. Alright. But yeah, it may take more than one try, but you usually get it in hand. It's not difficult. It may take more than one try though, just because you're not familiar with the stage or the special orientation of the stage that is in effect for that mission. Right, meteor bursts. So you gotta do gravity dives, of course. They are usually special targets. You'll notice them specifically. They're really difficult to miss. So yeah, especially with all the arrows and crap. So yeah, those are your targets, and you can only hit them once. You can't hit them twice. Make sure you smack them. That's important.
Ready? Go!
I missed one. That's not good. I can get one back because of the end. The end is a little bit tricky if you can actually land an extra hit.
Ready? Go!
And having no GP doesn't help me either. We need to try this again. But yeah, these targets are usually hard to miss. The only thing that could be a problem is lack of familiarity. That's pretty much the only problem with the stages. I think that's as good as you can ask. It's really simple. You just need to hit them. It's really important. And don't worry, you usually get plenty of GP when it comes to meteor bursting. Also, hitting one of the capsules here is good, because that gives you plenty of GP as well. One very bad thing about this mission, about these missions, is running out of GP. That's one very bad thing. And this one. But I got 11, that's important. You can get 12. But in this case, 11 is the extreme rank. It's the only exception to the rule. Every other one, you gotta hit all targets to get the extreme rank. This is the only exception to the rule. Mission 6? Right. This mission is actually quite tricky because the time factor is definitely a concern. You gotta use the gravity control to break objects. Objects are pretty much everywhere, so you gotta try to use it as much as possible. However, make sure you also look at the time, because sometimes you run out of time very easily. Try not to use it too often. But yeah, breaking objects gives you that +1. I think I missed one, alright. You gotta use it kind of often if you want to break objects. You don't necessarily have to let go of the square button, but yeah, time is important. Oh, meteor burst also do the trick. One, zero, yes! Wow, last second win. I think I tied my best. What? Tying my best, and I missed one for sure. I missed one for sure. Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah. Needs more looking into later on. Alright, so this will be the last mission of this video. This is actually the easiest mission. One of the easiest missions. All you really need to do is build up gravity points and don't use them as much as possible. If you don't use them, it'll be better for you. Now, filling up 100 points is the normal rank, 200 is the extreme rank, and I believe it's something like 150 for super. Something in that range. But yeah, you really gotta understand what gives you GP, what gives you a lot of GP, and what doesn't give you too much GP. All this really takes is 4 X ranks. That's all it really takes. But in addition, you can have air riding and so forth. A lot of things do give you GP, and this is an example, of course. Holding up the air ride as much as possible gives you even more GP. I think we're about 150, almost 150. I don't think 200 is the extreme rank, but it's close to it. I think it's more like 180. I really don't think 200 was the extreme rank. Although it's really easy to get 200. There's no real reason why you shouldn't get 200. I think we have it. So all you really need to do is just keep moving. That's all you need to do. $197. Okay, fine. It's not perfect, but yeah. 200's the max. 200's the max. Alright, next video we're going to do the next two tracks. MediaTek Premises and Aquatic Capital.